Whenever someone asks about the greatest rivalries in WWE history, there's a few names that are bound to come up. Stone Cold versus Mr. McMahon, Rock versus Austin, Bret versus Shawn. But you know what always gets missed out? The epic feud between Triple H and The Rock. Which is a shame, because these two really put on some bangers during the Attitude Era. Maybe it's because there was just so much going on back then that this amazing rivalry never got the spotlight it deserved. But fear not, that's what we're here to do today. Stay tuned as we look at the feud between The Rock and Triple H in depth. Both The Rock and Triple H had similar starts in the WWF. They both played characters that felt somewhat out of place in the mid-90s. Triple H as the blue blood aristocrat, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and The Rock as goody two-shoes Rocky Maivia. Both men were in similar positions fighting to make a name in the mid-card, and this is where some of the bad blood begins. In October 1996, a month before Rock debuted, Triple H won the Intercontinental title. 4 months later, in February 1997, he met The Rock in the ring for the first time, with the Intercontinental Championship hanging in the balance. The Rock won that match, but the intriguing part, the tensions between The Rock and Triple H extended beyond the ring, and surprisingly, it wasn't all about The Rock himself. Enter Bret the Hitman Hart, a seasoned wrestling veteran who had taken a liking to the young and athletically gifted Maivia. In his revealing biography, Hart mentioned that this newfound alliance caused a stir among none other than Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Rock suddenly found himself caught in the crossfire of a heated feud between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. It was a case of conflicting loyalties and backstage politics. Hart claimed that Michaels and Triple H were less than thrilled about his support for The Rock. Rocky lost the IC title to Owen Hart and suffered a serious knee injury that kept him out until August '97. When he returned, he reinvented himself as a villain and joined the Nation of Domination. During Rock's absence, Triple H won the 1997 King of the Ring, and D-Generation X had been consisting of Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Chyna, and Rick Rude. It was within the explosive dynamics of DX and the Nation of Domination that this feud reached its peak, showcasing some of the most iconic moments in the Attitude Era's march to greatness. Fast forward a year, and Shawn Michaels bid farewell to the wrestling world and retired due to a back injury. Interestingly, his relationship with The Rock only found solid ground well over a decade later. In the meantime, The Rock and Triple H had no choice but to navigate the complexities of their professional relationship, both in and out of the squared circle. Without the luxury of political power, their focus shifted to a competitive rivalry that would define their paths. During the summer of '98, DX had a firm grip on two of the WWE's major titles. Triple H held the European title, and the New Age Outlaws were the WWF Tag Team Champs. But the tide was about to turn. The Nation's D'Lo Brown pulled off a massive upset over Triple H with a little help from The Rock. Brown also played a pivotal role in the Outlaws losing their tag titles to Kane and Mankind. Fast forward to Fully Loaded '98, and we witnessed The Rock and Triple H going head-to-head in their very first pay-per-view match. And let me tell you, it was a barn burner. They battled it out in a thrilling 2 out of 3 falls contest for the Intercontinental title. The Rock snagged the first fall, thanks to D'Lo Brown's interference. But Triple H retaliated and tied things up after a well-timed chair DDT from Chyna. The tension mounted as they continued to throw down, with Triple H hitting the pedigree in the final seconds, only to be denied by the ticking clock. The Rock retained his title by the skin of his teeth. But the war was far from over. On the August 17, 1998 edition of Monday Night Raw, the two stables went to war in a brutal street fight. Jeff Jarrett and Southern Justice, aka the Godwins, crashed the party, leaving Triple H battered and broken at the hands of the Nation. The grand finale came at SummerSlam '98 at the legendary Madison Square Garden as The Rock and Triple H met one-on-one in a ladder match that would go down in history. In the end, it was Triple H who emerged victorious, snatching the Intercontinental gold. This led to The Rock breaking away from the Nation and pursuing a solo career, establishing himself as a red-hot talent. While Triple H fared well as the leader of DX, he hadn't reached the level of world title contender. The Rock secured his first world title at Survivor Series, 2 years after his debut, aligning himself with Vince McMahon as the corporate champion. This solidified his status as a top-tier performer, culminating in a showdown against Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 15. Triple H and The Rock would stay out of each other's way for the better part of the next year, as Rock would be busy feuding with Austin and turning babyface. Triple H would leave DX and go solo, but when Austin went out with a neck injury in late 1999, it left an opening for the company's top spot. Just like that, Triple H and The Rock found themselves on a collision course once again, but this time the circumstances had shifted. With Stone Cold Steve Austin sidelined due to a neck injury, Triple H and The Rock took center stage in the battle for the world title throughout the majority of 2000. Hunter had been steadily climbing up the ranks since 1999. After parting ways with DX, Hunter recognized the demand for a dominant and ruthless heel character. Aware that breaking through Vince McMahon's proverbial glass ceiling as a fan favorite was unlikely, Triple H embarked on a transition to the dark side. While main event matches, multiple WWF championship reigns, and a compelling rivalry with Mick Foley propelled Triple H into the spotlight, he needed a formidable adversary to take his career to the next level. This rival had to not only resonate with the fans, but also possess the skills to engage in a top-level program that could captivate audiences for months on end. Fortunately, such a babyface sensation was ready and waiting. It's truly remarkable to grasp the level of popularity The Rock had achieved by late 1999. Gone was the bland babyface who debuted 3 years prior, replaced by the charismatic Brahma Bull, whose quick-witted humor and jock-like persona had transcended the wrestling world and reached mainstream audiences. The Rock had emerged as one of the hottest stars on cable TV, young, dynamic, and immensely marketable, making him the perfect foil for Triple H's villainous character. Then came the epic 2000 Royal Rumble, and let me tell you, there was no doubt about who was gonna win it. Despite the stacked talent on the WWF roster, The Rock was on a whole other level. Just listen to the roar of the crowd when his music hit during that time, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The verbal sparring between The Rock and Triple H was pure gold, creating unforgettable promos. However, tensions behind the scenes were getting heated. As they headed into WrestleMania 2000, the main event feud took an unexpected turn with the addition of Mick Foley and The Big Show to the match. Rumors started swirling about Triple H's off-screen romance with Stephanie McMahon and how much influence he had on the storylines. He had just cleanly defeated and retired Mick Foley for months, raising eyebrows. The main event at WrestleMania 2000 saw Triple H triumph over The Rock, thanks to a double cross by the McMahons. It was the first time a heel had won a WrestleMania main event, and the match was criticized for being underwhelming. But fear not, because the following month gave us the WrestleMania main event we truly deserved. The Rock and Triple H squared off for the world title at Backlash, this time delivering a match for the ages. It was undoubtedly one of their best bouts as headliners and set the standard for a sizzling Attitude Era main event. As The Rock's star power began to rise in Hollywood, some backstage heat started to come his way. The road led to Judgment Day and an Iron Man match against Triple H. However, issues arose as Rock had been occupied filming The Mummy 2 during the build-up, and the match was booked without his input. There were rumors that Triple H may have orchestrated this to undermine Rock's in-ring performance. The match's length also exposed Rock's shortcomings as a ring general compared to Triple H. Despite the drama and a botched ending, they still managed to deliver an epic Iron Man match. The match and the surrounding events highlighted the fundamental difference between the two men, Triple H's obsession with wrestling and The Rock's focus on broader success. Triple H would capture the title from The Rock at Judgment Day, but The Rock swiftly reclaimed it the following month by pinning Vince McMahon. This protected Triple H's record against The Rock, as he held a significant advantage in their win-loss ratio throughout their rivalry. While their in-ring feud came to a close, their back-and-forth battles were far from over. In 2001, The Rock decided to step away from full-time wrestling and pursue a career in Hollywood, a move that turned out to be quite successful for him. However, his rivalry with Triple H refused to fade away. Many people believe that Triple H harbored jealousy towards The Rock's achievements, especially considering his own struggles to break into the world of Hollywood. But Triple H maintained his passion lay in wrestling. It is maybe this real-life animosity between the two that made their rivalry so good. Regardless of personal opinions on whether Triple H's greatest rival was The Rock, anyone who witnessed their clashes during the Attitude Era can attest to the incredible entertainment they delivered.